a certain place, and what kind of interesting experiences can you build on top of that? Basically, make the assumption that you have the presence plumbing and then build from there. Something that I think we're only really starting to get into is where are virtual things? We have now this really interesting new potential where we have billions of virtual objects that we've been creating for years and years and years, and now thanks to the iPhone, thanks to the new MacBook Pros, for instance, Snow Leopard, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it has Skyhook's core location built into it, and it'll switch time zones automatically. So your laptop now knows where it's at. And also, obviously Android as well. So now that we can tag everything with lat and lon, we can start tagging things that actually don't live in the physical world with a physical location. So what kind of interesting experiences can you build out of that? We've seen some of this with Goala, obviously, and their items. We can pick up an item in one place and drop it off in another place. That item, of course, does not actually exist, but you can't actually pick it up until you're actually near it, which I think is really interesting. Gaming, I think, is really what's going to lead this charge. There's so many interesting aspects and impacts on gaming specifically. You know, if you think about it, really the best 3D environment that humans have ever created, is the one that we're standing in. So if you can take the combination of overlaying virtual goods on top of the real world in combination with various gaming mechanics, what kind of interesting things can you get? One of the games that I'm still waiting for, and I pitch this game every time I talk, and I'm hoping someone here will build it, is I think it would be really interesting to combine check-in data with basically just missile defense. So every time you check in, you get a few more points, but then you also expose yourself. And I noticed that, for instance, my friend checks in at a bar, it's 4 miles away, so I launch a missile at him. His radar defense system that he has isn't very good, so he's notified through push notifications about 30 seconds before the missile lands. He can't defend it, it blows up the bar, and of course everybody else who's playing the game that's within the blast radius of that missile would get a push notification that says, we're sorry, but this guy that you don't even know was unable to defend a missile attack and you have been collateral damage in a missile strike. Like, these are immersive, interesting experiences that follow you wherever you go. You no longer have to be at a game console in order to participate in a game. And I think that's a really interesting idea. And then what happens when games, because games don't happen off in a virtual ether on a TV screen anymore, they happen in the real world, what happens when one game affects another? So let's say you go back to the original idea of Crash Corp, which was a Monopoly game, and you have Monopoly games being affected by missile defense games. So not only would the people that were in the blast radius get notified that they were collateral damage, but the bar owner would be notified. He's not even playing missile defense, and he gets this notification that says, I'm sorry, but your bar's been damaged in a missile strike. And he's like, shit, I'm not even playing this game, and I've been, basically, had a side effect in the game because of it. So I think that there's a huge opportunity here, and to back up this claim, which is I want to throw some quick stats up. Most people count Foursquare as a game. They basically say that you're making a game out of life itself or whatever. Foursquare is currently signing up about 100,000 users every 10 days, and since the inception of the service, they've accumulated 22 million check-ins. I don't want to take anything away from Foursquare. They're killing it. Dennis is doing a great job over there. It's an interesting service. I think that they're definitely pioneering the entire space. But I do want to rain on that parade a little bit. My Town, which is a game that basically allows you to play Monopoly in the real world, signs up 100,000 users every day. It does 25 million check-ins a day. And the most crazy stat, 65 minutes of engagement per user per day. 65 minutes. I don't even watch TV for an hour a day. This is a ridiculous stat. So clearly people are engaging a lot more because the virtual experience of My Town is following them wherever they go. And they're able to interact with all of the other players constantly in real time based on location. I have no idea how long I've been talking. Okay. So really, at the end of the day, I think that these are just a few of the ways that we're going to see explosive monetization around real-time and location. And I want to leave essentially with one parting note. I'll take up the rest of the time that I have with questions, which is I want us to move beyond the check-in. I think the check-in is only so interesting. And if you think about it, a check-in is really only a broadcast of presence. So instead of creating your next startup or your next project based on, well, my user checks in and then something happens, base it on Foursquare's framework for this, base it on Twitter's framework for this, base it on somebody else's framework, and start building a cohesive experience based on top of that. Because I really don't think that we're really going to move location in real time forward until we get over the notion that of people attempting to own presence. So with that, I will turn over to questions.
What do you think would happen if we introduce like a general digital receipt and make monetary transactions into a gaming system?
Yes, I think that I mean that's kind of what Blippi is doing, right? Have you heard of Blippi?
No.
Blippi does it based on credit card transactions. You sign up and you enter your credit card info, and they basically will keep track of, they do check-ins based on whenever you swipe your credit card. So I think that's a very good way. It's interesting that you bring this up because another thing that I think people have started to implement is the idea of like implicit actions on the web. This is something that I pushed for at Dig forever. I was like, if I tweet out a link, it should be like digging, right? And essentially what you're saying is if I go someplace and I buy something, that should be treated as a check-in. Of course I was at that bar. I swiped my credit card, right? So yes, I'm a big fan of that. I think that I wouldn't be surprised at all if you saw Blippi and Foursquare team up pretty quickly.